Hi everyone. This month I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to walk around and show you what I've been up to and how things are going in the garden. I also went on a trip to a beautiful Portland garden that has a lot of spring blooms and a dahlia tuber sale that I'll show you later in this video. So today I'm hopefully finishing planting out these seedlings that I started in soil blocks. They're looking pretty good. They're ready to go into pots. You can see the roots are getting a little bit out of control. And just like that, everything else has kind of gotten a little out of control. Some mulch we need to put down. So these in the tent are everything that I started from soil blocks this year. It's a lot of seeds. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed about it. This is the second year that I've done this process where I use soil blocking and then planted things up. And this is, I think, way more seeds than I had last year. Last year, I was able to fit everything in this tent, including the dahlias I started. So I don't know what I'm going to do this year. Things are just going to have to live outside and get used to the cold nights. These are California poppies and wallflowers that I started outside earlier this year. They're definitely ready to be potted up. Oh, and there's some chamomile too in there. And then these are sweet peas that I started and some turnips. Over here, I have nasturtiums. I also started some sugar snap peas out here just in case the ones I started indoors didn't work out. And it seems like both are really working out at this point. And then I also have kale and chard, which I've never grown before. So we'll see how that goes. So the big question with all of my seeds is, where am I going to put them all? I have a lot more produce this year than I've ever done. I've only just grown maybe one or two plants before, and I didn't plant them out in the garden previously. I just had a pot of turnips or whatever. But this year I'm growing a lot of vines. I have the lemon OG cucumber, and I have a couple of those plants. And then I also have a lot of snap pea plants. And I think I want to get a zucchini plant from the nursery just to try that too. So the question is, where will I be putting that? And the answer to that question is, I don't know. So I still need to plant out some dahlias. I'm thinking I'm going to put that big yellow dahlia I used to have at the front of the path over here behind this little water fountain. And then for the vines, I think it would be really great to intersperse some produce in this area, but I'm not really sure where. I'm pretty happy with how this area has been turning out. I have kind of like the glaucous light green, minty green color interspersed with a lot of grasses and Mediterranean style plants. That doesn't really go with vegetables. So I'm thinking I might just put some vegetables in here this year and kind of just see how it goes. And then I have a little bulb update for you. This is my pot that I planted up at the end of last year. And if you remember from that video, I really had mostly just a bunch of leftover bulbs. And then I had purchased some Cunyon tulips since I liked those so much from the previous year. So I think that's what's blooming here. They're looking pretty good. It's been really hot lately, so the edges of the tulips are looking a little ragged, but overall it's worked out really well. And then there's some of the Ronaldo tulips starting to peek through. And then I have the rest of my tulips from last year's pot planted in the ground. I really like how this assortment looks, and especially these daffodils. I'm going to see if I can get more of those. I love the look of these. They're white with a little bit of yellow. I think they were called Prosecco daffodils from Eden Brothers, if I remember correctly. So I'm definitely wanting to get some more of those for next year. Back over here in my patio garden, the white bulbs are coming up and starting to bloom, and I think they're looking really great. The other bulb that I planted, I think it was called Persicaria, maybe. I'll show a picture on the screen if I can find it. Those did not come up at all. I don't see anything coming out of the ground for those. If you remember from that video where I planted those, I found out after I had already planted them that I should have put the bulbs on their sides so that they wouldn't rot with all the rain. So I did plant those wrong. I do kind of wonder if it was that or maybe it was just the bulbs themselves, but I still am pretty happy with how this came out. I was hoping for something a little bit more interesting, but next year is another year to try again. This month, I visited Sweet Dahlia Flower Farm for a dahlia tuber sale. This is a small boutique farm and is local to me and located on Sauvie Island in Portland, Oregon. If you watched my seed starting video, this is the same farm that I bought sweet pea seeds from earlier this year. At the sale, they had some of those sweet pea seeds and starts for sale and lots of dahlia tubers. This was my first time going to a sale like this, or really any dahlia sale, and there were so many gorgeous dahlias. It was really hard to choose what to buy. There were especially a lot of peach and pink shades, which are my favorite, and a lot of different styles too. The prices were a little higher than you would normally find at your local nursery, but these are dahlias that you probably would not really be able to find outside of a specialty grower like this one. Here's what I ended up with. I was able to pick up some of these sweet pea seeds that I missed out on earlier this year. This one's called King's Ransom, and it's sort of like a dusky pink orange color, I think. So I'm excited to get some of those now. And then for the dahlias, I ended up with one called Crichton Honey, which is a pretty apricot ball dahlia, and it has some yellow undertones in it. So we'll see how that goes. And then I also got one called Mayberry Champagne. I'm really excited about this one. It's a soft cream color with yellow center and then pink petal backs that curl inwards. It's a really unique flower shape, and I'm really excited about it. Earlier this month, I was also able to visit Elk Rock Garden in Portland. I was excited to be able to make it to this garden since the hours can be a little bit tricky. They're only open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I went on a Friday and the weather was so perfect. This was a private garden that is now open to the public. The garden and property were owned by Peter Kerr, who was an avid hobby gardener, and the garden was open to the public by his family after his death in 1957. The property is 13 acres with most of that space allocated to the garden. It was so beautiful to walk through and featured a wide variety of mature trees and plants that surrounded ponds, streams, and bridges. April was definitely the perfect time to visit since there were lots and lots of spring blooming trees in the garden, including magnolias and cherry blossoms. The garden was built on a hillside that runs along the Willamette River, so there's always the sound of running water in the garden and different viewpoints to stop and get a good look at the river. If you get a chance to visit, this is a really beautiful springtime garden and a great way to get a little garden walk in as well as some beautiful river views. And that's all the updates I have for today. It was a little bit of a different video, but I hope that you liked it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're taking great care of yourself and having a wonderful spring season. If you liked this video, I'd love for you to subscribe. See you next time.